All righty. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Optimizing Warehouse Operations webinar. I'm Reagan Neal, an onboarding specialist at TapGoods. I'm going to be your moderator today. Please put any questions that you have in the chat. Those are going to go to me, the TapGoods host, Reagan, and then we will be answering those at the end. Our first presenter today is Candace Leak, who is our Chief Commercial Officer at TapGoods. Candace has a master's degree from Harvard, and she's founded 3 startups, one of which required her to run an international distribution center. Dominique Sparkman will also join us. She is a relationship manager here at TapGoods, and Dominique has experience owning a small business herself and over 15 years of experience in customer service. Remember to send those questions in as you listen to TapGoods host Reagan, and we will answer those at the end. We will also be conducting a few polls during the webinar, and we'd love your participation. And then a recording of this presentation as well as the deck will be sent to you afterwards. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Candace.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is our agenda for today. So we're going to start with talking about optimizing the layout of the warehouse, and then move on to best practices for both picking inventory and getting them ready to go out, as well as checking them back in. Then we're going to dive into probably the hardest part of warehouse operations, which is hiring and retaining good employees. Dominique will then wrap us up specifically for people that are currently using TapGoods or are considering TapGoods. She'll show you how you can implement some of the warehouse strategies that we talk about today through the TapGoods platform. And as Reagan mentioned, we're going to run some polls throughout. I think it would be fun to see what everybody on the call, like what they're doing and how they're using it. So you'll have a poll, but you'll also see the results of those polls. So first up, optimizing the warehouse layout. So a study by Deloitte found that companies that manage their supply chains effectively tend to see faster revenue growth. Hold on one second. I just realizing my battery is low, and I don't want to leave y'all too soon. So yes, common sense. If you optimize your supply chain, you can grow much faster. It's imperative that your warehouse runs smoothly in order to accommodate fast growth. In your warehouse, you need a storage area for the inventory, an inspection area for checking in, and then a staging area for checking out. So let's first talk about the storage area and how you can organize inventory to streamline workflows. I recommend having the most frequently picked items in the area that is easiest to access. Placing these high demand items closer to the staging area where you prepare everything to load the truck can reduce travel time and improve order fulfillment speeds. So if almost every order you have has folding chairs on it, put the folding chairs closest to the staging area. Then the items with the lower demand can be organized by category. This way, employees can quickly learn the primary categories and where to go for each main category instead of having to learn every single item and where it may be. So here we have a list of the most common categories for an event rental company. And as Reagan mentioned, don't worry about taking notes or anything during this. We are going to share this deck with you. So just sit back and enjoy the ride. Okay. Next is talking about keeping the aisles clear. So ensure the aisles are wide enough to accommodate equipment if you have it. Even if you don't have it, you may grow to get it. So consider the size of the equipment and the typical load to decide the smallest necessary aisle width for safe and efficient navigation. Here's some specific examples of common equipment. And depending on the size of your operation, investing in some of this equipment can be a game changer. When I started my first business, I was actually in the garage of my apartment. So I had 0 equipment. And then I moved to an office with a warehouse, and I got a pallet jack. And it was like the best gift I ever gave myself, because it made so much more efficient than moving one item at a time to be able to move a whole pallet at a time. And eventually moving up to a forklift. That can replace an entire employee, if not more, with the efficiency you get from this equipment. Next, let's talk about getting rid of paper. Paper is a just great place for human error to occur. So virtual or digital pick list It's just a version of the pick list that's on a computer and allows users to quickly check inventory in and out on their tablet or their smartphone or desktop. With the virtual pick list, staff can access the necessary information from anywhere at any time using the connected device. So you're going to eliminate the risk of someone holding on to an outdated copy. So I know what has happened to me in the past is a customer calls in and has a last minute change, and that change is documented in the computer. However, the warehouse manager has already printed out the pick list for the day and doesn't have those updates. So if you can just get rid of that paper, and as the person goes to pick, they're using a connected device, then you're going to ensure that they always have the most up-to-date current version. Now we'll move on to picking inventory. So depending on your needs, there are a few methods you can utilize for picking inventory. So batch picking is where you pick for several orders at one time. So an example is if you have 20 orders in a day with folding chairs and need a total of 500 chairs. You would get all 500 chairs into the staging area at one time instead of going back and forth to the same area to grab the chairs. Now, the problem here is if you don't have a big staging area, that may not be an option. Zone picking is where you assign zones to different employees. I really like zone picking for items that are hard to learn, like linens or patterns of china. So you can have one employee that knows all the different fabrics and styles of linens, for example, and you can have that employee go pull all the linen orders for the day, put them in the staging area by order, and then as the other people are getting the orders together, they just grab the exact linens. So that's zone picking. And the third and most common method is pick to order, where you pick everything for one order at a time. Now, my guess is that pick to order is the most common, among rental companies, but we're going to run a poll right now. And if you could just let us know, do you do batch picking, zone picking, pick to order, a combination, or maybe other? And if you do other, please include a little note in the chat, because we may want to talk about that at the end when we're just wanting to get everybody's feedback on what works for them. I encourage you to try a combination of all of these methods based on the size and complexity of your orders. So if you want to talk about your specific business and what could work, put your question in the chat and we will get to that at the end. I think it would be fun if a few people gave us specific examples to discuss in more detail. So as those polls come in, we'll probably break in a minute when the results appear and we can look at what everybody on the call is doing. But in the meantime, we'll talk about checking inventory back in. So from my experience, the best way to throw your warehouse completely out of whack is to neglect checking in procedures. One time we were working in the warehouse to get a huge order out the door. And while we're working with the bay doors open, we had some product come in. And we just didn't have time to worry about checking that in or get it to the right place. So somebody just took the pallet and shoved it under a rack, and then things got put in front of it. It never got checked in, and that created a lot of chaos a few days later when we didn't think we had the inventory we needed for orders that needed to go out. So if you don't have a set check-in procedure, you can expect increased loss and damage, inaccurate inventory levels, and decreased productivity if everybody's doing different, if everybody's doing it differently. So the first step is to inspect. From experience, I think this is the step that's most common to be skipped when you're super busy. It's also the one that can create the most havoc if not done properly and cost you the most money. So any damage or missing parts should be documented, and the next steps should be known and documented. So for example, if you have popcorn machines and you require them to return back clean, or you keep the deposit, then that needs to be documented right there so you can make sure that you charge for that cleaning fee. Or if you rented out 500 forks and only 490 come back, you need to make sure that you charge for that extra 10 and also document it into your inventory management software so that you can make sure that your counts are right for future orders. So once items are clean, repaired, and ready, the crucial step is updating it in the inventory management system because that's going to affect all your future orders. Now, it seems silly for me to talk about, putting things back in the correct zone, but having run a warehouse, I can tell you, I personally made this mistake many, many times when we were busy. Maybe I just put it anywhere, so I could keep moving quickly. You're so worried about getting things out the door that you don't really think about getting them properly back in the door. So, because, we think that when we put things out the door, that's when we're making money, but it's also when we're bringing things back in because we can't efficiently get them back out. Oh, look, here is the results. So I'm going to pause for a minute. And it looks like everybody uses pick to order or a combination. So that's awesome. For those of you that are specifically pick to order, I just encourage you to think about maybe where you could possibly use zone or batch, if that makes sense, and if you have the room for it. And again, if you want to talk about your specific scenario, just put it in the chat. Okay, so I interrupted. Pardon that interruption. We will get back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's see, where was I? I was talking about organization and making sure you put it back in the right place. So, in thinking about inventory coming in and going out and the processes, the complexity of all of that is compounded if you have multiple warehouses. And having multiple locations makes all these processes even more important. So I highly recommend a system that allows you to see where your inventory is at any given time to cut down on someone having to physically find it or count it. We're going to move on to employees. So here are some common warehouse job roles. Each of these could be multiple people or all of them could be one person depending upon the size of your company. I know when I first started, I was every single one of these. And then as I slowly grew, I hired people. So all of these roles are important, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a different person in each role. We're going to share this deck with you. So again, don't worry about writing this down. You'll have it. And let's move on to tips for hiring, which in my experience was the hardest part of running a warehouse. Hiring is so hard. The best advice I have for you is pay well and have a good culture so people stay. I say that kind of tongue in cheek because it's like, yeah, of course, I'm going to do that. It sounds like super easy and it's not easy. Especially the culture part. And we'll get to that in just a second, but regarding the pay, 82% of workers are more likely to apply if you list the pay on the job ad itself. So if you want to attract legitimate applications and waste less time interviewing candidates who may not be a great fit, just go ahead and post the pay range. It'll really cut down on, it'll keep you from wasting your time and the person you may be hiring time. So here's some tips for hiring, questions for an interview. Again, we'll share these. We have a blog with a lot more questions in it and resources for like personality tests that you can take, skills tests that you can take. So we will share that link to the blog with you where you can go into depth. I'm not going to read all of these to you. I kind of want to keep it higher level. And of course, you can also ask questions. Before we get into tips for hiring, we have another poll just to ask you what you currently, what's the average amount that you currently pay your warehouse employees? And then we'll share that because I think it'd be interesting for everybody to know what the average is. And of course, I do recognize that's going to be tainted by region. But I think it's still interesting to see what everybody's paying. And again, that's all anonymous, so no one will know who said what. Okay, so tips for hiring. First off, take your time. A mentor of mine told me hire slow and fire fast when I first started my business. And I thought that sounded so harsh, but now after 25 years, I think it may be the best advice I ever received. Hiring slow and making sure you find the right person is so important because it costs, when you have to replace a new job, it takes you about 3 months of slower productivity to get that person up to speed. So if you have losing a lot of time, you could pay somebody more, and if they stay, you actually come out better. So before you get into the interview, know the role, brush up on every detail of day-to-day task, to talk about growth opportunities and how this role fits into the bigger company picture. Don't sugarcoat it. You want them to be in it for the long haul, so you don't want them to be disappointed from the get-go. So if there are things about the job that aren't great, which by the way, I was just telling my kids the other night, you're not gonna, they were telling me they didn't want to do their homework because they didn't like it. When they were older, they wouldn't have to do things that they don't like. And I thought that was hilarious because I'm like, there is no job that you're ever going to do that you like 100% of it. I would argue that, up to 20% of any job is stuff that you don't necessarily like. So talk about those things. Also understand the company culture. I think the most common reason people don't stay long-term comes down to culture fit. So will they get along with their coworkers? Will everyone enjoy working together? Will it be fun? Because if it's an enjoyable place to be, they will stay longer. Prepare your questions before the interview. Craft questions that dig deep into the candidate's experience and their potential fit. But I highly advise to go beyond the resume. Ask about aspirations, how they handle challenges, and what they're really looking for in their next role. So again, we'll share this deck with some questions and some tests that you can use. But the most important thing to do in an interview is listen. Pay close attention. Oh, let's stop for a minute. Let's have an interruption. Average pay. It looks like the highest percent is $16 to $20 an hour. So, but we have some people paying in all range of that. So that's super interesting. I just for me, it's like a good starting point to start thinking about what to pay somebody. So thank you for everybody that shared there. I was just talking about listening during the interview and just getting insights into what they value most. I personally always perk up if someone is complaining about their last job during the interview. It may not be bad. Maybe it's legit if the complaints are about strategy or operational tactics, if it's very well thought out and they have ways to address challenges that maybe they weren't listened to. But if it's just complaining about people, that's a big red flag for me. That can bring down a culture if you end up with somebody, even if they're great at their job. I think probably all of us have worked with somebody that's super negative, and it really just makes you not like your job as much. Okay, on to retaining employees. So I love business books. These are two of my favorites. Employee retention for warehouse workers is super hard. There's no one thing that you can do, but I just wanted to share some resources that I like. So what's worked best for me? One of the things is to start strong on day one. Everyone wants to feel valued, so it's crucial to make them feel welcomed and equipped to tackle their new role. So I encourage you to invest in training and to be approachable for questions that they might have. And I highly recommend this book by Chip and Dan Heath. It's called The Power of Moments. I'm currently, I don't know, I love reading business books, but I go through these little cycles where I'm like done learning and I just want to read something entertaining. I'm currently in an entertaining cycle. So if you are also find yourself in an entertaining cycle, maybe skip the book and there's a YouTube video that you can watch on the new employee first day experience. It offers excellent insights into how a positive start can significantly impact a new hire's outlook and performance. It talks specifically about John Deere and what a first day of working with John Deere looks like. And honestly, it makes you want to go work for John Deere. Like, that's so cool. So, and it's easy to do. It's not going to cost you more money. It's going to take you a little time and thought. The other book is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. This talks about giving your employees something to work towards. So employees need more than just a paycheck. They want a purpose. And it's vital to communicate the why behind your business. Beyond financial goals, what drives your company? Maybe it's about bringing joy to families or creating unforgettable events. Or you want to innovate the retail space. Maybe you don't like, you think it could be better. Clarify this purpose and unite your team around it. So again, this is the book, Start With Why. But if you don't feel like reading an entire book, you can look up Simon Sinek's TED Talk, which is How Great Leaders Inspire Action. It's it's less than 20 minutes because all TED Talks are less than 20 minutes. And Simon Sinek, anything he writes or talks about is great. He's a really good speaker, so you probably just enjoy it. Next, give credit where credit is due. So regularly acknowledge and reward hard work. My personal motto in work and with my children is look for reasons to celebrate. I just think it makes life more fun. So recognition can be as simple as thank you or as significant as an Employee of the Month program. You can use Net Promoter Scores, customer satisfaction surveys, or even incoming reviews from Google or Yelp to praise your team. Lastly, this is a big one, and I think a lot of people struggle with this. I know I've struggled with it, but a really hot trend since the pandemic is flexible scheduling and time off. So I think in a high stress industry, especially like rentals is pretty stressful. You're open on the weekends a lot of the time, and deliveries can be long hours. Balancing work with personal life can be key. So think about if there's a way that you can offer flexible scheduling or time off policies. One thing that I know that works, I know, for example, Whole Foods uses this methodology. They put people in teams. So maybe a team of 4, if you have 4 warehouse workers, and they allow the team to create the schedule. So versus the manager creating the schedule of who's going to work when, the team works together to decide who's going to work when and make sure everything's covered. That way, if they need time off at certain times, they can work with their teammates and make sure that that happens. Okay, I get to quit talking now and turn it over to Dominique. So if you're on TapGoods, or maybe you're even considering it, she's going to show you how you can do many of the things we discussed within the TapGoods software.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Candace. You really are such a wealth of information for us here at TapGoods. Really appreciate your time. Yeah, so I'm one of the relationship managers here at TapGoods. So if you are in my book of accounts, please reach out, especially if you have any questions or would like any more information over anything that we discuss here. So warehouse management, we all know how imperative the warehouse is to your operations. And having a well-run warehouse will lead to better utilization of your inventory, less errors, and a smoother job for your team. One thing that TapGoods does in this area is within the inventory itself. Within your inventory, you can add warehouse locations, so everybody knows exactly where it's located in the warehouse. You can add departments, and then you can even add notes such as heavy, fragile, or make sure that it has all 8 poles with it. That way, everybody's informed of that specific inventory, where it goes, how to find it, and what it needs. Another thing that we do really well is our pick list. So reducing errors makes your team be more effective, and it helps create better communication, which will lead to better efficient practices. So one thing that we do is our pick list settings. So customizing the status of the check-in and check-out process. Every warehouse runs very differently, right? So your pick list settings are customizable. You can create your own status, such as partially loaded or on the truck, ready to wash, along with the check-in and check-out. So creating a seamless and informed process here. We also have a newer feature, which is our pick list manager, which is for our select tier. This will help you see a weekly or monthly operation from a bird's eye view and help you sort through orders more efficiently and effectively. You can streamline your process of planning with these. You can also schedule team members from this place, change orders, anything that you might need to do. It just helps you manage a little bit quicker, or large items, large volumes of orders. So more communication leads to less errors, and we all know that less errors mean more money. So one way that we do this at TapGoods is enabling email notifications for pick list changes. So this helps you keep your team informed of any last minute adjustments to order. It's kind of like Candace was saying, it's paper, you might not get it, but if you have an email in your inbox when you start the day that notifies you, letting you know something's changed on that order for the day, you'll get it and stop that error from occurring. We also have the TapGoods to-do page. It's straight on your dashboard, and it helps you manage subrentals, overbooking, change requests, and all other tasks from one easy location. You can see that here. And another area that we didn't cover as much before, but I know is really wrapped into the warehouse operations, is routing. So being able to see a bird's eye view of your monthly delivery operations, to be able to assign team members and trucks on so much more you can do from this page here. So we have a calendar view. It's a comprehensive monthly overview of your routing operations. So you can identify if there's pending pickups or drop-offs that you need to assign, as long with like other stops that may be needed created within the route there. You can see here, it's very color coded. So if it's blue, it means something's already been assigned. If it's orange, something still needs to be assigned. And within the routing page, we have really wonderful features that allow you to drag and drop orders that still need to be routed. So your orders will come in here to the routing page. You can click it, add different trucks in this area, assign those orders to trucks. And then we have a Google Maps integration, so you can get the best possible route straight from any tablet or device. You can also assign team members to those trucks so they can see their specific orders they're going to be working with that day. We discuss multi-location. So whether you are, growing or expanding, knowing where your items are at all times is crucial to help you get the most out of your inventory. So we can help you seamlessly expand with our multi-locations feature. It offers a centralized access to your locations from one single dashboard. You'd be able to manage subrentals and inventories, sharing between locations right there. So you can see, okay, this is how many I have total. This is how many I have in this location. It helps you be able to see where your inventory is in real time. We also have team member permissions. So being able to give access where access is needed and makes things more simple for you and your team. So customize your team permissions, whether it's a sales team member, managers, or warehouse staff. Roles can be assigned and permissions are all customizable. So, they're only seeing what things they need to see and not any of that other stuff. And we also talked about employee retention. And one way that we're finding better ways to help you in this area is we have an NPS survey. As we discussed, you can, when those 5 stars start rolling in, use this as a way to congratulate your team for a job well done, get creative, create incentives and praise around this. So this is just another little neat feature that is available to you. And so TapGoods does have a multitude of different features that help you optimize your operations and empowering you and your team to work more efficiently. So if you have any questions or would like to explore any specific area that we talked about in detail or any other area, please don't hesitate to reach out to a team member. For those of you who are already part of the TapGoods community, your dedicated relationship manager is available for you. And then, we're looking forward to chatting soon. Thanks for showing up today.
Awesome. Thank you, Dominique and Candace. We would like to take a minute and just have everybody kind of share any tips and best practices that you have in your warehouse operations. So if you would like, just raise your hand and then we will go ahead and unmute you so that you can share.
Somebody has something to share, right? Somebody has some great best practice that I didn't say anything about and want to get good karma, pay it forward, help your other fellow rental companies out, and then you'll have some good karma on the back end. And if not, we could just go ahead and open up to some questions. And we also have another poll. So don't leave until you answer that one, because it's we would love to hear what you want our next webinar to be. So maybe run that poll while we also look at what questions have come in.
Perfect. All right. Well, at any time, if anybody wants to share anything, feel free to raise your hand and we can go ahead and let you share that with everyone. But we do have a couple of questions that came in. First question is, can I track the quantity in each warehouse location for an item?
Do you want to take that, Dominique? I mean, the answer is yes, but you want to take that?
Sorry, can you read that one again?
Yeah, no problem. Get back to it. Can I track the quantity in each warehouse location for a single item?
Yes, you definitely can. So especially if you have multiple locations, you'll be able to see both locations, the inventory that is in that location. And then you can also sublet and share between the 2 locations. So if one location needs those extra tables and you know that you have them in your other location, you can send them over.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so just to follow up on that, if you have a total of 1,000 folding chairs in inventory in 3 warehouses, you may see that 300 are in location A, 400 are in location B, and 300 in, I think I did my math right. No, that was more than 1,000. You have 1,300 and 300 are in location C. So yeah, you would see your total and also where they're located.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. I do have one tip that somebody put into the chat, so I'll go ahead and share that. They said that they keep their heavy items near the loading door to reduce that stress. So I think that's a really good tip to share as well.
That is a great tip. Thank you. You should have joined me to be a co-host because that's very true. Good one. Thank you.
Awesome. A couple more questions coming in. How does Tap Goods handle overbooking?
Awesome. I can take this one. I'm asking to share my screen, but it's not letting me.
Oh, let me stop my share and then maybe. Can you share it now?
I should be able to. Give me 1 second.
Dominique's going to actually open up the software and show you how overbookings work within the platform because we're all visual people. And if she just says it, we probably wouldn't be able to follow along. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I have a picture here. So basically, whenever you are, checking in your items and inventory, that's really important to go ahead and make sure that you're checking in there correctly, like Candace was saying. I'm sorry, I think I have the wrong thing pulled up.
Yeah, we're looking for overbookings. And we can just talk about it in general too. So it's going to like what she's showing you right here that maybe when something came in, one was damaged, and that may create an issue with an upcoming order if something came in damaged and is not able to go back out. And so you would get an alert that you would have an overbooking. And I think you're there now, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. So sorry about that. So the alert will pop up on your order and you can see you have a little red arrow. It pops up in multiple places. Once you click on that overbooking, you have the ability to choose if you want to continue with it there. A screen will pop up and just say, this is an overbooked item. It's already booked on these dates. Would you like to sub-rent from somewhere else? You can have the option to sub-rent from one of your areas or locations, another warehouse. And then also, deny the order if you wanted to deny that order or call them and choose something differently.
Awesome. Alrighty, so I have one more here. What if the item doesn't come back or comes back damaged? I think that's what you were showing, Dominique. So we'll go ahead and pull that up now.
Yeah, for sure. So if something is checked out and it doesn't come back at all, you have the ability within that screen to go ahead and mark any notes that you need there. You can also even charge the customer from this option, and it'll go ahead and charge their cart on file. So whether it showed up or whether it was damaged, it'll also pull it out of the inventory so you can no longer see it, use it, and replace it as you need.
Yeah, I think I just want to interject right here because this isn't something we talked about, but one of the things that Tap Goods does is, when when somebody checks out with you, they're going to have to sign your contract, and your contract will state that you can charge them if something's missing or damaged, for example, maybe. And if it does, then when you check it back in and it's not there, you don't have to worry about getting their credit card again and, playing phone tag or maybe never getting a hold of them. You have the right and the authority and the credit card on file to go ahead and charge them for those things. And the system will notify them that you did that. So everybody stays in the loop.
Awesome.
And then you want to share the results of our last poll just to see? Looks like, oh, we have a tie. That means I'll just get to decide. Or we'll do both. We'll do both. But so either how do you use We'll do all three. But maybe we'll prioritize one of the first ones. So ChatGPT is definitely a hot topic. I use it all the time. I love to talk about it. That was the one I hoped that you guys voted for. But we also have one that's super important to your business, which is protecting from theft and fraud. So we'll do all of those. And I also just wrote a blog recently about how to charge for labor. I got super nerdy on that one, but if you email us, we'll give you a link to it, or you can just look on our blog for that. But we can do another blog and we can do another webinar and go super in depth too.
Perfect. All right, so I did have one question come in. Can you show how the quantity in each warehouse location for an item would look in the system? So I actually pulled that up just as we have been talking. So let me go ahead and share my screen really quick with you guys. So let me get this to a full view. All right, so this is basically what an item looks like if you have multi-locations. You can see over all locations, you have the 902 total, and then it's going to show you the breakdown between those different locations that you have. So you have 723 in Dallas, 23 in another location, 55 and 100, and those all add up. So yeah, that's how you see that breakdown of however many of those items are in each location. Stop sharing and then let me get the next question. The next question is, can we email them a copy of the missing items list before we charge them so they have the opportunity to find it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you have the ability in your email settings to send as many emails as you may need, including PDFs or anything that maybe has already been sent out, signatures, things like that.
And that's actually a best practice, you know, because you're trying to develop relationships with customers. And I know from experience, I chaired a 500-person gala for my kids' school. Don't ever do that. If somebody asks you to, that's just free advice for the day. Do not say no to that. But at the very end of the gala, we had to rent from 2 different rental companies to accommodate all the people. And one of the companies didn't have like 100 forks or something. I think it was forks. And instead of charging me, they let me know. And then I ended up finding them at the other rental company. So at the end of the night, when we took everything and gave everything back, one thing got sent back to the wrong rental company. So it is nice to at least allow them to try to find it. And so here's my other bit of advice. First, say no to that gala because it's just horrible. But second, if you say yes, only use one rental company per type of item. Because if you, on that particular one, we were trying to match forks and we had like 400 forks from one place and 100 forks from another place. And then all the forks went back to different places. And the next like 10 days of my life when I thought I was past the gala, ended up me driving around trying to count the forks and get them back to the right place. So yes, please email your customers first and then charge them.
Perfect. All righty, next question is if we can share a link to the resources that Candace, you recommended earlier.
Absolutely. And you know what? I can just go ahead. I'll put them here, but we could also put them in, you'll also get the deck. And, oh, I can't, I'm going to put, it doesn't go to everybody, but if you could take what I just sent to you, Reagan, and give it to everybody. Those are links to the TED Talk and the YouTube video. If you don't feel like reading the entire books, just watch those because they're very entertaining and you'll get most of what you need from that anyway. And then get back to like your trashy romance novel.
All righty, got those sent out to everyone. So you should be able to get that link to the TED Talk and then also that Dan Heath article on there as well. Let's see. Next question that we have is, does TapGoods have a customer portal that customers can use to view their orders?
Yes, you definitely do. Let me pull up one that you can just kind of get a look at. All right.
I love the TapGood. I love the portal. Even before I started working with TapGoods, I was a big fan of TapGoods because I love Amazon so much and I don't necessarily want to talk to people. Amazon has spoiled me and made me not like human interaction as much. And so I like to be able to go to the portal and like repeat an order or request changes of an order and not have to look through emails to find the order and contact somebody that way. And then on the rental company side, it makes it super easy if they request a change and you just approve the change versus having to go back and forth with those email or phone calls.
Awesome. For sure. And you can kind of see that here on your like home dashboard. You can create order. Even if you don't have a storefront, you'll be able to have the home portal. It just might not have as much detail as the pictures, but you can still upload a couple things to it there.
And this is just showing you how to create the account. Once you're in your account, you can see like past orders, existing orders. You can see your invoices and all of those things from the customer portal.
Awesome. And I think another good question to kind of go along with that one is, can TapGoods automatically send those customers order updates?
Yes, you'll be able to send even messaging between your portal with your customers as well.
Perfect. Let's see. Have another question here. How do you set up the email notifications for pick lists so that the warehouse manager gets notifications of those pick list changes within the week?
Well, so I'll let her look for the notifications, but I just want to interject too, because one thing I thought that was maybe a little confusing is, one, they are going to get the email notifications that someone changes if you want that to happen. But even if you don't set that up or if they don't see their email, when they pull up the virtual pick list, it's going to be the most up-to-date copy. So you're not going to be, you don't have to have the email. If they just want to pull up the digital pick list real time, they will see the most up-to-date copy. And then in conjunction with that, you can also send the emails, which I find that very helpful for very large items. So for example, let's say your warehouse manager knows that he's pulling, for this 500-person event, and he's got to pull 500 chairs. He may be staging stuff in advance because it's such a big order. It may take him a couple of days. You may also hey, heads up, they're not getting those chairs anymore. So it's kind of nice to have both.
Perfect. Yeah, let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen again just to show where those pick list emails are. Get that to full screen. So when you go on to your TapGoods, you will be logged in. You will go to your little profile picture over here, and then just click into my profile. This is where I'm at right now. And I just clicked into your notifications tab at the top. And then your pick list email notification section is this one at the bottom. And that's where you can set those email notifications for the members of your team. All right.
Do you have anything else, Reagan?
I don't think so. I think that was all of the questions.
It was a successful webinar. We did not get stumped today. I actually like getting stumped sometimes, but it's always nice to end on a high note as well. Thank everybody. Oh, somebody raised their hand. Somebody named iPad.
Let's see if I can get it.
They're trying to stump me. They're thinking of something.
I was wondering if I could ask a question.
Yes, please do.
Just wondered if you would do a webinar sometime in the future on just orders and how to do orders in a fast, efficient way. How most people do their orders, from quoting to pick list to check out and check back in, close.
Sure. Are you using TapGoods now? Because maybe that's something that we can do sooner rather than, we only do webinars once a quarter, but maybe we can hook you up with your relationship manager to have that one-on-one feedback way before then, because I don't want you having to wait for that.
That'd be great. Yep.
Okay. Just put in the chat there, because we have your name as iPad, and I'm guessing that you have a different name too. So if you could just let Reagan know who you are, she'll make sure your relationship manager syncs up with you and get some time scheduled, because we want you to have that ASAP. And then we could also consider a webinar too. Thank you for that advice.
That sounds great. Efficiency with orders. I know you showed on the screen how to charge for damage on an order. Let's say if the item is damaged and you want to charge on that instead of having to go back into the order to edit it in the order, you can actually just charge on check-in. Is there a way that I could get a link on how to do that, like from the order screen?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could definitely send that over to you. I'll get with Reagan after this and we can get you all that information you need, and as well as maybe schedule a call together.
We are all about the customer service here at Tap Goods. So anything like this, you guys reach out. We want to make sure that you are very successful with the software, that you're happy with the software. So you don't have to wait for a webinar to get this type. If there's something that's going to help you be more efficient and make you, happier in your business, we want to make sure that that happens for you.
Absolutely.
And we do have lots of knowledge-based articles like you're searching for. So we'll help you with these two specific things. Of course, contact us with any other questions. We'll also get you a link to the knowledge base so you can search, if you're looking for some quick answers sometimes.
Absolutely. And I just want to remind everybody, you will receive a copy of this recording so that you can rewatch this if you need to. And then you'll also get a copy of the deck of slides that was used for this. So you'll be able to review everything. There's no more questions, and I think we are all good here. We just want to thank you, Candace and Dominique, for doing such a great job today. And if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to your Tap Goods contact.
Thank you too, Reagan. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.